Okay, welcome to this afternoon's session on how to conduct a QBR. We've got a great set of panelists here. This is an interactive session. Steve, that means you get up and ask questions and they answer, okay? So if you've got any questions, we've got 2 microphones at the front. This is being recorded, so you can come up to the microphones to ask any questions that you have, and the panel are going to answer them. My name is Mark Sheehan. I'm the head client coach for Technology Marketing Toolkit. I head up the accelerators and the rapid implementation program. And I've got 4 great guests here. I'm going to start with Joanna, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Joanna Sobrand. My company is MXO Tech. I'm located in Chicago. I've been a Producers Club member for the last 5 years. I think they asked me to come up here because I did a Golden Comb presentation on QBRs a while back. I ended up winning it.
Robin still references it in Rapid.
Yeah, so I've probably completely changed it and expanded on it, so I'll probably do another Golden Cone at some point. But today I'd just love to hear, I'm excited to actually hear your questions because I'm always looking to improve, and usually through questions I'm able to do that. So thanks for having me.
Afternoon, everybody. Mark Bannons, Miami, Florida. I think I was asked because I'm the little fish compared to these producers clubs. I just completed the rapid implementation, and the one thing that I think Mark wanted me on the panel for was the QBRs has been a huge improvement on my business every year, and it's one of the few things over the last 3 years that I did implement from Robin Robbins, and that's part of why I did the implementation workshop to get further along the line. But I'm here to help answer any questions on the one thing that I was really good at.
Hey everybody, I'm Eric Shore, and I run Secure Future Tech Solutions with my wife Lisa. Say hi to Lisa over there.
Who's one of our client coaches, by the way.
And we are based out of Rhode Island, and QBRs have been probably the most powerful thing that I have implemented after I met Robin, and that was only 3 years ago, and we also did a Golden Cone on it last year. So looking forward to your questions and sharing information.
Hey everybody, my name is Frank DiBenedetto. I'm an MSP from New Jersey, and we've been in Producers Club for about 10 years now. We integrate our QBR process as an extension of our sales process. So we get people kind of used to, our clients used to that process during the sales cycle. So it's just an extension there. So we have a unique way that we do it. And QBRs are an amazing way to generate additional revenue in your business. So.
Cool, thank you. So how many people here, how many of you actually do QBRs? Oh, we've done a lot. Cool. So I don't need to explain why they need to do QBRs. So for the rest of you, why are you not doing QBRs? Maybe if those people who are not doing QBRs, if you've got questions about how to get started, come up to the microphone. But Joanna, how long have you been doing QBRs for?
We started about 5 years ago when we joined here. And when we started the process, one thing that we did really well is we created an agenda, and we were really consistent with it. But what we didn't do well was we weren't really good at upselling project work, and instead we focused on relationship building. And so now, I mentioned earlier that we've been constantly enhancing it. We tied our QBR process with our solutions team, and so they take a lot more time to prepare all the recommendations that they have from service, and then bring that into the QBR process. So the biggest difference has been that we've increased our revenue through upselling additional service that our clients need. But probably what has suffered a little bit that I'm changing now is we took away a lot of the client relationship building aspect of it, because we're just focusing on doing the job. And so what I would add back into it now is having someone else be a little more focused on the relationship aspect of it. Because I think, through this presentation that we've had for the last couple days, people buy an emotion, and they stay with clients and stay with long relationships and contracts because they like the person and the company they're working with. Clients don't leave companies, they leave people, right? So as long as you have that relationship built, you can really grow your business. I don't know, that was really long-winded, I'm sorry.
No, that was good.
Same thing. Well, kind of like Joanna said, for me, when I started with Robin Robbins probably just over 3 years ago, I used the QBRs primarily as my way to stay in that relationship with my client, because we started doing more and more remote work and less on-site. Especially, I mean, if you've ever been to Miami, traffic is horrible. It takes an hour to get to any location. So I used the QBRs, especially the first three, quarter 1 through 3, to do a little bit more of business development and keep the client on the edge of my, my hand here on letting them know we're still here. And then I slowly, after the first year, realized end of the year, quarter 4, is where, as I've learned new tools are available, I go to meet with those clients, and they've been accustomed to me getting there, not selling anything the first 3 quarters, and all of a sudden saying, hey, we've had this, you're missing it, we need to upgrade you to get you up to a certain level, and usually I have about an 80% acceptance rate on anything I provide at the end of the year.
So we started doing QBRs about 3 years. I mean, we've only been involved with Producers Club for 3 years now. And so we started doing QBRs about probably 2.5 years ago. And one of the major influences, I have to say, Joanna, is your golden cone really got my mind thinking about why am I not meeting with my customers? We were thinking, we're always going after the new prospect, and that's sexy, and you want to bring on new customers. But you have existing clients that know and trust you right then and there. So that's worked out fantastic for us. And so it's only been a couple of years. Last year alone, I tracked the dollars we brought in from QBRs. It was over 300 grand. So it was significant, very significant.
Very good.
So, like Eric said, there's no real glory when you meet with your accountability group and you say, wow, I increased, a couple dollars of MRR, I upsold or cross-sold a client, right? The focus is usually on trying to bring in convert new prospects into clients. That's that sexy sale. But it dawned on me that my clients are the ones who pay the bills, and I need to pay attention to them or they're going to go somewhere else, because it gives them an opportunity for someone else to go in there. And for me, the real issue was, what do you do in a QBR? And I would stumble in there with all sorts of reports, and I would think that my client probably looked at it like they were going to the dentist, right? They knew it was like 6 months or 3 months, and they would cringe because they figured I was going to try to sell them something. So for me, it was really figuring out a better way to change that process. And when I did that, the clients looked forward to it, and it strengthened our relationship with those existing clients. It got them used to meeting with me regularly, and it helps keep them on track. So that's how we started to do that, probably about 3 years ago as well, is when we got serious about it.
Cool. And we got a question here from.
Go through your process, exactly how you go about it, and kind of a little bit more in detail how you conduct QBRs?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing we do is we meet internally with our system admin team to go over all of our solution stack, right? So we figure out what every single client has to have in place in order to meet our standards. And that's documented in a system that we use today. So our systems admins go in there, they update it. They usually do it proactively, so it's already in place. Sometimes they have to do it reactively when a couple weeks before the QBR is scheduled. Once that's done, our account manager goes through the report and generates I think just call it a bomb report. They generate the report where the client is falling short, right? And sometimes it may be where they're falling short, and sometimes it's new products that we're adding as well that they're rolling out in addition to a campaign that we might be sending out. So they put together an agenda. They put together like a risk score of where that customer's at, and then they go in, we schedule the meeting. A lot of times we have the meetings preset. So kind of to Frank's point, sometimes clients don't want to have the meeting because it is like a dental appointment. but other times they do look forward to it. So about 50% of our clients are pre-scheduled, and then the other 50% we have to just schedule them as we go. They're on a rotation, right? Just depends on the customer. Some are we meet with more frequently because they're larger clients and they have a lot more going on. Sometimes if it's a smaller client, so you guys, we work with a lot of clients that are like between 20 and maybe 200 end users. But people who are like in that 20 range, we meet with them maybe twice a year. People that are in the 80 and up range, we probably meet with them 3 to 4 times a year. So we prepare the agenda based on what they're missing, and then we meet with that customer. Our preparation for each QBR, believe it or not, it's 6 to 8 hours. It's pretty intense because the system admin gets involved, and then the account manager gets involved, and then they meet with the service manager. So they meet in advance to go over everything and agree that that's those are all the items that they have to go over with the customer. And then we meet with the customer, and then there's follow-up because there's quotes that have to come out of that. And so one of the things we've been talking about, because clients sometimes want a quote right there and then at the meeting because they want to know what is it going to cost. We're trying to gauge their pulse first, but people are very tied to money and want to know what's in their budget. So we've kind of come up with ranges of what each item might cost just to give it to them. Because you guys probably know creating quotes is very time consuming. So we don't want to start creating all these quotes if people aren't going to buy everything. So we'll give them an estimate, we gauge their interest, and then we generate quotes, and then we put a project plan together, and then we implement. It takes quite a bit of time. And that's why I was saying earlier, we changed that from a relationship building meeting where George and I used to go out and, we'd ask for referrals, we bring cookies, want to know how everything's going. It's completely changed now to getting them on par with our solution stack.
Yep.
And by the way, I'm going to go over this again because I'll do a golden cone next time, and I have it all written out, so I'll provide that next time.
Okay, great. Mark, if you want to answer the question.
All right, so unlike Joanna, for me, it does take about 4 hours to prepare, but like most of you, I am the owner, sales guy, operations, business development, and occasionally the tech. So for me, I spend probably close to 4 hours in that preparation. I happen to use Continuum, so I use those reports. I use my rapid fire tool reports. And then most importantly, I pull the tickets for the last quarter. And I take all of that, kind of have a summary in my head of what I want to give to the client on where they stand as of that quarter. And like I had said earlier, for me, it was more quarter 1 through 3 is a little bit more of just meeting with the client, keeping a little FaceTime going, making sure they still kind of know I'm here instead of never hearing from me again. Because I've been doing it a long time and they were used to seeing me as the original tech. Eventually I grew, I've got 4 guys now, but they no longer see me. Most of the time now I'm on conference calls, I'm doing some sort of development. So I really do use that opportunity for the upsell, but giving them notice on where do they stand? Where does their network infrastructure stand? How are they holding up on those quarterly bases? But like Joanna said, it does take some time. For me, luckily, I only have to meet with me, so it's a little easier. But beyond that, you got to get them done because without it, you just can't continue to increase with your existing clients on an easier way.
Well, I concur with Joanna and Mark. There is a lot of, if you want to do QBRs properly, you need to be prepared. This is not something that you can just wing or 15 minutes before decide you're going to go meet with the client. So, we generate lots of reports. I, first of all, take a look at how profitable the account is. I think that's something that's really important, because if there's any kind of pricing adjustment or conversation that I need to be aware of or have with the client, that's a good opportunity to discuss it with them. We also look at, I'm sure we all use similar tools. I use Network Detective. I also use Continuum and pull reports from there. I've integrated ID Agent's dark web scans as well. That's something that it's a perfect opportunity to discuss any kind of security risks as well. So I generate lots of reports. I don't want to overwhelm my clients with reports, though, and I think that's really important that you don't do that. So I pick my battles. I decide, what I want to do. I'll set an agenda, and then I'll book the meeting from there. So that's my preparation process.
So I think the preparation is definitely the key. And like Johanna said, it can take hours, and it used to take me hours to do these, and it gave me the incentive to not want to do the QBR. It took a lot of time. I had struggled putting the reports together. I struggled how to present that. It probably comes as no surprise that I use audit to generate the report. So I've simplified how we show the deficiencies or the areas of concern when I get in there. And I affectionately say I basically sell green boxes to my clients. I go in there. The green boxes are the areas where we're in pretty good shape. So I don't spend a lot of time doing that. What I do focus on is the red and the yellow. And your clients will hate seeing red and yellow. It's an emotional type of thing. And they lean in and say, what's that yellow box? And I say, oh, I'm glad you asked. And now they're asking me about what the issue is, and then we talk about it. I do bring a proposal in for anything that's a deficient area, red or yellow, and it helps me upsell or cross-sell, but it's only because now they've asked me about it, and they're questioning the areas of concern. It also allows me to come in. It could be all green one quarter, and I might show up with a red box one quarter, and they say, what's that? I did that when I introduced dark web monitoring. That was not a thing a couple of years ago, and I showed up with a red box. They asked me, what is that? I had an infographic that explained it, and they said, how much is it? I had a proposal, and that's how we did a lot of our upselling and cross-selling. We did that with cloud as well in the early days. So that's my process.
Cool.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, just for full transparency, Frank created Audit IT, but he's here as an MSP, but the audit guys, Mike's at the back here, and they've got the booth upstairs, but that's what Frank used. Frank created it because Frank couldn't be bothered to do all the prep work. He wanted an easier way. So yeah, that's Audit IT. Mike's at the back here if you want to see him, or go up to the booth. So we've got a question over here.
Two questions. First, are you all owners that are doing the QBRs, or are one of you like a dedicated VCIO in that position?
I was going to actually talk about this. A great question. So I stopped doing them over the last year because I got a lot more involved in sales and operations, but I was doing them with a colleague of mine, right? And then when I stopped, we hired someone, we call him a technical account manager, because he just wasn't at that VCIO level, and we just didn't feel like we needed it. We do have a VCIO, which is one of our top engineers, and for larger customers, more complex environments, he comes out, but our technical account manager mostly comes out. Just because I don't have time to do it, but I'm sort of getting back into it now because first of all, you can't scale a business if you're just doing it, but at the same time, you're the best person to do them. Yeah, they love having the business owner come to the office. So, but I found, some clients, they like our account. A lot of our clients like our account manager but what's changed, here's the biggest thing that's changed. When I was doing them, I was meeting with the CEOs. And now with my account manager doing it, he's meeting with the representative of who's handling IT. So it might be the office manager, might be the operations manager. So it's been a little bit of a different process because they need to get approvals, but it's working. It's not perfect, but it's working.
So for the rest of you, all owners?
Owner.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only reason I asked that is I'm actually a dedicated VCIO. I started about 6 months ago in the process, going through True Methods, which, the bomb reports, things like that you mentioned. The question then, what metrics are you showing your clients that get them really excited?
Is that for the owners or for?
Well, like what metrics are you putting into the QBRs that you're presenting to them? For example, one of the metrics that I include shows time to completion of the ticket. So in my QBR that I present, it shows how long it took on average for all the tickets over that last quarter. What other metrics are you showing them that they get excited about?
Sure. I mean, I'll just mention one, and then maybe you guys could give another one. One of the things we use Smileback right now, and we show the customer service score for all of their staff, because a lot of times the business owner or the client representative doesn't know they don't know the customer satisfaction amongst the employees, right? So we bring that and we show them that they're at like a 96% satisfaction, let's say, and then we bring some of the positive comments as well. We'll even bring some of the negatives, and then we'll tell them what we did to fix some of the issues that we encountered.
Yeah, for me, the only metric I use is really the report I pull from Autotask for the tickets. See what the overall time was from receiving the ticket to completion, and then some of the surveys. I do the same thing where I will bring at least one negative report in if we have one, and then a couple of positives, and usually have an honest conversation of what the negative was. But that's the only metric I use.
I use an executive summary report that has a variety of different statistics, but I try not to overwhelm people with them. I just, very quickly, show the, the uptime of the computers and a few other stats. One thing that I've been spending a lot more time on, though, is showing the dark web reports. People are very interested in that these days, and it's something that can open up opportunities for you and bring awareness to it. It's a good opportunity to just connect with your clients.
Yeah, we do the CSAT scores, so I like to show the client like what their staff has said about us, so that's a good opportunity, and sometimes there could be something negative in there. We can talk about that and address it so that way they know that we're paying attention to it. I know we've put clients to sleep with some of the metrics that we've shown them, and they're just not interested. We're interested, and we think that they really care about how many tickets we closed or opened. It makes you feel good, and you get to look at the reports. The reality is, my experience has been the clients don't really care about that. I do use the dark web report to show them like a monthly summary to kind of show them that we're doing our job and that things look pretty good on there. But I try to make it not so metric centric.
If anyone else has questions, I don't want to hog the mic, but I know I have a list. What is your QBR wow factor?
The cookies.
I don't think I can answer that one. I don't really have a wow factor. It's just for me. I just want to get them done and stay in front of the client.
I think the real wow factor is connecting with your clients and finding out what's going on. I had a meeting the other day and I found out they're moving to a new facility and they're going to need all this additional work. For me, that's the wow factor right there, is finding out what's going on with my clients and connecting with them.
I think your clients work with you. You're their trusted advisor. They do business with you because they know you, they like you, and they trust you already. So the wow factor is for us was we go in there and we show them all green or a lot of green. That gives them a sense that things are good. And it makes it easy for them to understand.
How long does your QBR typically take with the client, and what is your goal and how long it should take?
No more than an hour. We shoot for an hour. I would say did somebody say bullshit? Okay, what's up?
Does someone push
Maybe she has a comment for you. So we shoot for an hour. We don't want to go over that, but we find ourselves that we're usually at about an hour and 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, quarters 1 through 3, I would say most of mine generally are just under an hour because I'm just not proposing anything, but just informing them of some of the things we found or didn't find. My end of year, I would say averages an hour and a half because we're going over new stuff that we have to discuss.
So a couple years ago, I had a new client that I wanted to impress them with my comprehensive knowledge of their site and all that stuff. So I went into the QBR, and the QBR lasted 2 hours. Now, this particular client never wanted to meet with me again. So I learned a very important lesson, and the lesson is keep it brief and short. So most of mine are definitely under an hour. I shoot for anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, and that's really good. It's respectful of their time, and they'll be more willing to do it again with you.
And I think to Eric's point, if you do them consistently, you won't need a lot more time. If you have an agenda, because most of your time is in the preparation and the follow-up. It shouldn't be in the meeting with the client.
I think if you're having a meeting that's over an hour, you're getting caught in the technical weeds and you're having a technical conversation and not a business conversation. So I find that it's oftentimes when we have our process working and we've had multiple QBRs the same way, less than an hour, certainly not more than an hour.
Okay, we'll take the question.
Yes. So for each one of you, what is a key or favorite question that you always ask your client, and what is something that you stay away from or don't bring up?
I have to think about, I don't have like a perfect question.
Well, for me, the one thing that I will always bring up is if there is a negative comment. Because I would rather I don't always know whether or not the owner or the CTO I'm meeting with has any knowledge of any of the negative impact some of the employees may be complaining about. So I want to get ahead of it if I have in that QBR. So I would say that's the one that I definitely want to bring up. For the rest, it's just such a process. We kind of have our 5, 6 generic questions, and we just follow through.
My favorite question is if they have any referrals for us, but that's not their favorite question. That's just my favorite question. Honestly, I think there isn't like one question. I think it's really important to do, if I were to give somebody advice on these things, because I think it's easy to figure out what technologies they need, but I think it's building that relationship and just getting to know them and asking follow-up questions from the last meeting of how their child's rehearsal went or how their latest business challenge went. Those types of questions I think are the most important because they know you're really listening and you care.
I agree, Joanne. When I meet my clients, I try to get to know them and gather as much personal information as possible about them. So when I get together with them, I ask them, how was that vacation? How's your son? You start it off that way and then go from there.
You have to remember that for the next time, so write that in your notes, right? Because it's not as authentic. I think people are really impressed if you come back 3 to 6 months later and you remember to follow up on that personal conversation you had.
I'll answer the second part of the question. So I try to stay away from anything that's going to drag me under technically. I never want to get into the discussions where we're talking about all the things that we're doing and all the tech to try to justify the cost of the contract or anything like that. So I stay away from all of that. And then, of course, building the rapport and being personable and not making it seem like I'm there just to sell them something is really important. So I don't know that I have a particular favorite question. I think, like Eric said, it's part of how you approach the QBR right up front that sort of sets the stage.
I thought yours was going to be, what's that red box?
That's their question. That's their question, not mine.
Jason.
Hi, Jason from Toronto. I've been in the program here for a year, and a year ago I had no techs, now I have 2. So when it comes to the business and the marketing and everything we're doing here, it's just me. The techs are doing their job. I have implemented some things from the program. I have, there's a lot I haven't done. And when it starts, it then stops and so on. So I need help. And I'm trying to figure out where I need to get that help. And you had mentioned, I need to bring business in, of course. QBRs is a great way. Am I the best one to do that? Do I get a marketing assistant so I can do QBRs? Do I get someone to do QBRs so I can work on the program? I'm struggling with this.
Well, let me add something to yours, since we're probably of similar size. And what I would say for you right now is, since you have just grown with the 2 techs, you still have that personal relationship with the clients that you've brought in so far.
100%.
So initially, you should be doing those QBRs, in my opinion. All right, until you get maybe larger, like the 3 up here next to me. Maybe then as you expand and you have your account managers, maybe you could pass it on. But right now, I think the QBRs is definitively the most important part for you to continue bringing business in that is hanging there for you, as Robin always likes to say, the low-hanging fruit, it's definitely there for you. So for me, I would tell you, you should continue to do the QBR, and maybe if you're not in the accelerated program, which I just joined after 3 years of Robin, and kind of just doing this, that, and the other,
No, I am.
it does work that
I
way.
am.
Man, I would say there's nothing more important than meeting with your clients. I've learned that over the years. And when I kind of take a break from it and let other people do it, I see the results. So it's not the same. And your clients they're critical in your business. There would be no business without your clients. They'll maintain the relationship. They'll give you referrals. They'll give you testimonials. So if I had to tell you of one thing to another, I would tell you definitely spend time with your clients. Get a marketing manager.
Yeah, I was reminded early on by a longtime client. They left me a voicemail message. I had someone else call them back. And they came back to me and they said, don't forget, we do business with your company because of you. And it always stuck with me. And so for many of us as the business owner, especially when you're smaller, those are your clients. You can't just hand them off to any old account manager. What we did over time was I began bringing my account manager out with me, and I wanted her to be able to develop a relationship with the client like I did. And it doesn't happen just by having them call or be on the phone. You need to be face-to-face. They've got to be associated with you. And then over time, if you can do that, you'll be able to free yourself up to work on other areas of your business.
Great. Thank you.
David.
I have a comment and a question. I think I run pretty good QBRs when they happen, and I bring 2 reports, audit and warranty master. And thank you for audit. It is fantastic. My business partner, who's the techie guy, prepares the report for me, gives a little short list of questions, and then I go in there and get her done. And when I quote stuff, I scratch it in pencil next to the box for them. And they want a more detailed quote, I can come back around later, but the audit is fantastic. Thank you. What I struggle with is making sure it happens. I'm not a fan of the Infusionsoft way of doing that, right? I had an assistant, and then she left, and so it's kind of herky-jerky, right? We've done repetitive meetings in the Outlook calendar, but then it's hard to track them and know where they're at, right? And then there's the calling, is Friday still good? No, how about Thursday? All that kind of stuff. So who do you make responsible for making sure that the meetings happen, and what process do you use to ensure that they're happening?
So one, thank you for the kind words about the product.
It is fantastic.
Thank you. So I treat it like the dentist or the doctor appointment. The dentist, if I didn't schedule that appointment for the next 6 months, I probably would get 6 months down the line and be trying to figure out where to put it in, and it's a little bit chaotic. I don't use Infusionsoft to schedule the appointments. What we do is we schedule them when I'm there. I say, let's open our calendars and figure out what works, so it's already on the calendar. And then we have our account manager just verify the appointment a couple days before.
So in order to manage a lot of meetings, I mean, I went on 88 different QBRs last year, so that's a lot of meetings to coordinate, and that was only a fraction of my clients that I could get to sit down. I wouldn't have been able to do that without some automation. So we are using Infusionsoft. I'm a very big fan of Infusionsoft, so we're using the QBR campaign. And I also have that in conjunction with my inside salesperson who does the follow-ups and make sure that they, calls ahead of time. So when you're dealing with larger volumes, you need to take some automation into account.
Yeah, we'll get on to some other quick. We're running out of time, so we won't be able to get to everyone. So,
The last.
No, you can still add. He's run back. Okay.
So when you guys are doing these QBRs, do you all have a template with you on how to follow up, like how to take notes? Like, okay, we got to make notes about the vacation, so 3 months from now we're doing this again. Do you all have a template, something that's easy to keep track? Because I'm guessing there's a lot of information that could be exchanged. So
We use Infusionsoft for that. We just put it in our CRM.
With the reports I bring, it's just a little small 5 to 7 questions that I have and follow along on one sheet.
We're using Infusionsoft, but also in my meeting, obviously, I don't have my laptop and Infusionsoft there, so I'm a big fan of Microsoft OneNote. So I take a lot of notes, and I have a particular folder in my OneNote for QBRs, and I share that with my team. So I put action items as I'm going along in the meeting, action items, and then I share that with my team so that they can follow up on that.
Joanne, I used that then the dashboard for doing QBRs is perfect. So there's a reference there for technology marketing toolkit. If someone doesn't have Infusionsoft. Because you have your whole agenda, you have your 6 points to follow, who to contact, or what. Like you have the whole list up there. Is that the same campaign that's in Infusionsoft? Or did you
I don't think so, because that was from a while back.
It's excellent.
Oh, great. Just follow that. Thank you.
Mark, can you repeat it?
Yeah.
Or do you want to take the microphone?
Do you want to repeat it, Barbara?
Or give her the microphone.
I'm not going to give this back. In the dashboard, if you're a Producers Club member, when Joanna did her golden cone, she's the only one that did this, but she outlined her whole QBR process in there. So it's all there as to what you should have on your agenda. There's 6 things that you should do, like 6 bullets to cover in the meeting, and the template's all there, so you can put it all up there. The other thing that Joanna has up there is her whole strategic sales process for when she did the golden cone. And it's like this little boxes with the rope, and you just go like up and down. So if you don't have one, then that's a good thing to reference as well. Now that I have the mic, what my question is
David
that
should jump in.
since I have I do the QBRs. They do take long because I factor in time to get to the appointment. So yes, if it's more than, it shouldn't be more than the hour, but getting there and getting back, that's 2 hours.
Right.
So it does take more than an hour to do. Yes. Have any of you experimented with the whole client training thing and doing it, like tagging all of your customers? Okay, these people, they need to move from one vendor to, these people need to move from e-folders to Datto. You know what, let's tag them as here. Let's do a client training thing and do like a lunch and learn seminar. Like, have you ever done that with your quarterly business reviews? Like, grouped all of your clients that need the exact same product together?
Yeah, okay. So actually, no, I haven't done it yet, but I think it's such a great idea. And I think Bob mentioned it yesterday at Better Your Best, that he brings in all his clients on a quarterly basis for training. So I actually thought about implementing that because it's genius, right? Like, why wouldn't you do
I
it?
did it, and I got good results, but I
You
didn't know
did?
if it's just a fluke, so I wanted to know if anybody else did
I
it.
haven't been doing it, and I said to myself yesterday, like, duh, why didn't I do that?
Because I hate QBRs. I
Yeah,
truly
because
do.
you can do, well, yeah, they're time consuming and, yeah, you know, you have to like people and everything, but, so that's always an issue.
exactly
But if you do it all at once too, I think it could, and then the other part of, to your point, the other part of that is that relationship building could happen much easier because sometimes you can't get to every client more than twice a year, sometimes even just once a year.
Because Eric, with yours, with 88 QBRs, and you generated 300K, that's only $3,400 a meeting. Like, for me, I would be just like, shit, like, you know what, I could have done better.
Yeah, we can always do better, absolutely. One of the things, though, that I've been trying to think about, how can I make this process more efficient? A few of my clients now, I've been giving them webcams. And with Zoom, I've been trying to connect that way. So that can save out quite a bit of travel time as well. Mm-hmm. So that's something. And I've just been giving them a $30, if they don't have one, I've just been giving it to them, like a $30 webcam. So that's something to try. You could do it virtually. So maybe you meet once a year in person, and then a couple other times a year you do a virtual meeting.
Because what happens is when I got together with them as a group, then all of a sudden I got to flip it. So they were asking me. So now I was giving them the quotes, and I could email it out, and I had the team back on it. So I really, can you do it and let me know how the American results are?
Yes.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you,
What
Bob.
we did
This
was
is
we
more
actually
than-
broke down the frequency of our business reviews based on their MRR size. Because to your point, you can get inundated where all you're doing are QBRs. So, if they're over a certain number, we'll do it quarterly. If it's between this number and this number, maybe we'll do it semi-annually. So that helps us space that out. The other thing, I don't tag anything, but I have a master spreadsheet. I think Robin had suggested this at one time. He said, take all your clients and run them down on the left column, and across the top, pick all your lines of business. So whatever it might be, it could be a new antivirus. It could be dark web monitoring. And you can look in a column and you could see which of your clients, and I use red, yellow, and green. If it's red, I know that these are the ones I'm targeting. So there's probably more efficient ways of doing this, but it works for me manually this way. So I can go through and say, hey, here's all the people we want to go after for a particular line of business.
If you have the Infusionsoft, we teach you to use custom fields to do that, where you can pull positive and negatives or just view on an individual client. David, we've only got 2.5 minutes left, so I want to get.
I'll keep it
super
super quick. So I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but it seems like when I reach out to my clients for QBRs, a lot of the same pushback that I get is, no, I'm good, everything's fine just the way it is. It's like they're anticipating me just showing up to say, hey, give me more money kind of thing. And that's not necessarily my intent, or I think it is an intent, but really, it's more about, the relationship and maintaining that. For me, I just want to have that continued relationship and those touch points, so I know what their kids are doing when they get to college and all that jazz. What do you guys, have you ran into that? And if so, what would you say to that?
Yeah, so I think if you do it erratically, they're going to have that pushback, right? If you make it a process and it's regular, and for me, scheduling the QBR before I leave the last QBR that makes it so I'm not chasing them around, trying to schedule it at that time. So, or even automating it is probably, the best way to try.
I think that speaks for all of us.
I think, too, it's really important to make sure that, the QBR is not a sales call. So even though you really want to sell them something every time you meet with them, that's not really a great idea. So there are some times that I go to QBRs and I just do a quick check-in with them. How you doing? I don't offer any new solution. I don't do anything. I just check in and get feedback from them and go from there. And then they're a little more comfortable. If you try to do a hard sell every time you meet with them, they will stop meeting with you.
I will say one thing. I think also it's a mindset, because think about it like this. If you're feeling bad or you think that client doesn't want to buy something from you and then they get hacked, right? And they could have prevented that through dark web scan or multi-factor authentication or something, then you're going to be kicking yourself in the butt, and so will they, that you weren't there just to sell them something, but you were there to protect their business. So you got to think about it that way. Fred,
last one.
Yeah, it's a really quick question, really quick comment. Just want to mention to the fellow who was up there earlier, when you're trying to set up the appointment, we use Appointment Core, and it makes it simple, because you don't have to chase them around. You can send them an invite. It shows them time when you're free within a certain period of time that you want to offer it, and then they can sign up, click it, they can confer with whomever else needs to be at the meeting, and it's done. You don't have to chase them around.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And don't forget to ask for your referrals and testimonials. It's a great time to do that, especially for the clients that are really happy with you.
Yeah, Appointment Core is wonderful. We rely on it, and there's nothing better than having a client just book his own meeting, and then it sends you an email, and you're going from there. So,
Appointment Core.
And it integrates very tightly in with Infusionsoft as well.
Yeah, it puts everything into Infusionsoft. In our Infusionsoft, there's a QBR campaign to automatically schedule every 90 days. Once you drop a client in every 90 days, it will automatically send out the email reminders with the appointment call link to do that. So that's one way of saving it.
I think we're done. There's like red lights flashing at us all over the place.
We're going to blow up.
There's red boxes, lights, everything going on right now.
So thanks everyone for turning up.
Thank you.
And thank you to the panel, Frank, Eric, Mark, and Joanna.